Hello and welcome back to another video in series 15-minute chess openings. In this video, we are going to talk about Kalashnikov opening, which gained some popularity nowadays. So most probably you don't know what I'm talking about, like what opening we're gonna do today, but this opening is really underrated. What that means, like people are literally not understanding how to face and understand this opening as white. It's in Sicilian, of course. If you know, that's good because you have some background knowledge. And I will show you what I'm currently preparing also for Chessable course. And this opening is really crazy, like completely crazy. You can literally checkmate your opponent in 20 move if you of course know the book. Like moves are so natural and so understandable and the idea is very clear. So let's jump straight to the analysis, and I will show you 3 of my Blitz games on Chess.com that I played in the recent Title Tuesdays, and one of the Title Tuesday. So first game, starting e4, c5, knight f3, and knight c6. This is very important move that you need to play if you're going to play this opening Kalashnikov. And now after d4 you always take, and now e5. This is the moment where you are telling your opponent, I'm gonna play Kalashnikov. So knight to b5 is one of the most popular response and one of the best moves, of course. For white, the most ambitious move. Now you play the move d6 in order to stop any sort of knight to d6 and ruining your castles and also eliminating your bishop. Knight c3, very natural move. In one of the other games, actually in game 3, by the end of the video, we will talk about c4, which looks very, very powerful move. But believe me, maybe this is the best sauce in this opening, is this line c4. So be patient, and we're gonna see this line very, very soon. So after knight from 1 to c3, we are kicking this knight away. What is the idea for white? White literally wants to jump with this knight here, and then to replace this knight here. Also, there's a lot of threats. So they want simply after 95 to make a fork and to finish the game. So that's why we have to play this move a6, knight to a3. And now here there's a lot of options. There's a lot of options. You can play bishop e7, you can play bishop to e6, you can actually transpose in opening, which is called Sveshnikov, with a move knight f6. So my recommendation, if you want to play a little bit trickier chess, like sharp chess, you can play move b5. Like also it's a very good surprise. Why this move? Because immediately threatens b5. And when they play the move knight e5, which is very natural response, playing the move knight from knight from 8 to b1 is not good option. It's possible, but it's only if white understands why this move can be played here, but like 99% of players will play this move. And now the move knight from g to e7. So I'm honestly not surprised here that white is confused completely. Like white can be completely confused here what to do, since bishop g5 is not the same if the knight is on f6. And this is my recommendation. Once I upload my course on Chessable, I'm gonna talk about this line. So knight g7, and now it's a tricky moment for white if he's out of the book. What he will do, a lot of players are just simply playing c3, standard move in these structures. A lot of them are playing bishop to e3, but if they know a little bit, they're gonna play move c4, which is energetic and very logical because it's kind of targeting your queenside structure. So in this case, you take on d5 with your knight. And now there is 3 options for captures. In my game, they captured back with e-pawn, and in many other games they captured back with e-pawn because this is best option. There is also a very logical option of taking c-pawn. There is also a very logical option of taking with queen, but this is the most ambitious way to play. Even looks maybe not completely logical for white, since it's opening the way from our pawns to create a beautiful structure, but it's also very ambitious since this bishop can get some diagonal. And now we always jump with a knight in the middle, since our knight can get nice threats in future, also restrict this knight a little bit, and also get some, connection with other part of the board. And now here, my opponent took on b5, now g6. This is very important move. My recommendation, so g6, to develop your bishop on g7, not on e7, since this bishop is very powerful on this diagonal. After move bishop d3, which is very like let's say okay, we can expect this move. So After this one, bishop g7, and after castle, castle. So now the thing is, what will white do? A lot of players will just go for this capture, honestly, because they think, okay, I'm safe. There is no option. Why not to capture the pawn and root for some endgame where I'm gonna just have two passers and win the game? That's absolutely fine. If we go to take now this pawn, white will be better since we don't have any sort of activity. But the main move is e4. And this move is so strong that if white captures this move, game is over. Like, practically game is over. The point is, queen comes to the game. Queen h4, targets the bishop. Then, if they move the bishop back, or if they play logical move f3, here comes the very strong move, bishop to e5. Okay, actually not bishop e5. What is the move here? Wait. No, sorry. There's actually bishop takes a6. Yeah, bishop takes a6. I made a mistake because bishop e5 is very logical move, like it's targeting this side of the board, but there is the move f4 on the move bishop e5 currently now. And now there is already a problem. There's already a big problem. Now if they go with something like rook e1, now there is knight e2. And if they go for this, yeah, this is how the line goes. Now rook takes a3. And that's it. We are winning the exchange, and this endgame is definitely better for black. So in this case, black is getting absolutely like strong center and strong kingside attack. That's why my opponent went for the best move bishop c4. Apparently, this chess.com engine is saying that this move is inaccuracy, but it's not. It's actually the best move according to the modern engines. And now I play the move queen h4, but it's still tricky, like how white should respond after this move, since I have also some threats of this. There is bishop g4 coming, there is bishop e5. Like, I mean, evaluation bar says it's like, equal 0-0, but it's in practice, this is so hard to defend if you are out of the book. And slowly it's getting wrong for white. Here, now bishop g4. And if they play move f3, which is actually a blunder and very logical move, here comes bishop e5. What is my threat? If you capture my bishop, I will go queen takes h2, king f2, and bishop g3 checkmate, since my knight is controlling the e2 square, and that's a checkmate. So they can't capture the bishop. Logical move is maybe also g3, but if g3, there is just capture here. And then checkmate threads, then knight takes f3, bishop takes... This is just over. This is completely over, you see. So my opponent tried move h3, but then I just ignored the bishop. Queen to g3. I'm still threatening check, king here, check, and that's mate. So my opponent responding, capturing the knight. So if I go for these checks, he can start running, since the knight is not anymore protecting the e2. And now bishop takes f3, of course. It's a good tactical idea, since after sacrificing the rook, yeah, what will white do now? He will do everything just to exchange queens and to simplify, since he has a material, like two minor pieces for the rook. But the problem is actually that now queen cannot capture, because we have bishop takes d4, and that's losing. And later on we're gonna trade the queens, collect on b2, and just simply win. So my opponent went bishop f1, which is another mistake. Queen h2 check, king f2, pawn takes on the pawn on g2, and now the problem is that I'm threatening the bishop, threatening the queen, and also I'm threatening queen f4 back to win the bishop. And that's actually how the game ended. Bishop takes g2, queen f4 check, queen blocks, I capture here, then I simplify, and I got this pawn here, which will win me more material, and that's it. My opponent resigned, game is over. So it's very important to go g6, bishop g7, and then as fast as you can, and then to push e4, bring your queen to h4, and just start bringing your pieces for the attack. This is exactly what you have to do, because a lot of people will just be greedy and capturing this pawn and pushing the pawns on the other side of the board, while look at these pieces, completely stuck, not developed, cramped. So there is nothing that white can do in development. So yeah, so now we go on the next example of the same opening idea, same version. So here now we see the same setup. And now we got this move c4. So here, knight from 1 to c3, a6. So why we play the move bishop e6? It's because we want to be flexible. Sometimes in this structure, we are playing g6, bishop g7. Sometimes we can go bishop e7. So that's why bishop e6 is the most flexible move here. And also asking them a question what they're going to do. Because you don't want to play move a6 before they play the knight here. Why? If you play now a6, you're going to help them. And they're going to just move this knight here. Then the other knight will follow up the same square. And that's what they want. So that's why we are playing firstly bishop e6, waiting for them to play this move, and now we go a6. Knight moves the only square here. Now we go bishop e7. Okay, I picked this line. I could also play g6, bishop g7. That's also possible idea. But the main problem here for white is that now, if they don't understand what is happening on the king side, I'm always going for this bishop exchanging, as you see. Because my bishop is bad bishop. He's restricted. He needs some trades. So always when you have a bad piece in your game, always look to trade it. In this case, in these structures, in Kalashnikov, Sveshnikov, this dark square bishop is a bad piece. So you're looking to trade it. After castles, I didn't want to capture immediately. I want to see if they're going to capture my bishops, since that's going to improve my queen, as you see. Knight to c2. And now I started kingside attack, h5. So this is another thing that you can try. It's sharp, it's aggressive, it's really tricky, and it's, you know, it's really, really hard for white to defend against all this pressure on the king side. So what really happens here? b3 from white, and now what they want? They want to play bishop a3 or bishop b2, and now it's time to take this bishop. The best move is to recapture with queen. Why? Since it will stop me on coming on g5 with my queen. But my opponent captured with rook, and that's not the best option, because now I can go queen g5. So in this case, now my queen is here. I got some options of bishop h3, as you see. My opponent went knight e3, so in order to protect this pawn, but d4 is a weakness. If you remember how much our knight were powerful on d4, the same way he will be powerful here. So before I place the knight on d4, I wanted firstly to develop the other knight, and then when they jump here, I literally don't care. Like, they're not threatening anything. Everything is covered, everything is protected, and this target on rook is not really harmless. I will just move my rook. So I just put my knight in the middle. And now, what many people don't understand as white here is that never ever push the move f4, just for practical reasons. Why? Because even though you stabilize against my attack and create, defense, this pawn break is not good, just because it's creating more weaknesses on dark squares and letting me control the middle better than I did actually earlier. Why? Before that, I just got the control over f4 square and d4 square. Now, after you do this, I got e5 square for my pieces, c5 was already there, d4 was already there, f4 becomes more soft, e3 becomes more soft because there is no pawn from behind to help it. So that's why this move f4 never ever works usually in these structures from the practical point of view, even if engine recommends maybe in some moments that it's good to push. So in this case, I played bishop g4, maybe not the best move, but I want to actually eliminate these knights. These knights are so powerful defending his king, and just imagine eliminating both knights and leaving this bishop against some of my knight, then this bishop is absolutely restricted and bad piece. So this bishop actually helps me play this game properly and fight against these dark squares. So my opponent understood it and didn't want to change the knight, and now I went just h4. My idea is to play h3, just trying to make the things more softer on the king side. And after knight takes, finally, I take back with my knight. They kick my knight away, and then I place my knight in the middle. Look how much these knights are good, and how much they're fluent together. Communication between them is super nice. And if you are now tactically good, you will already see what we are threatening. We are threatening knight f3. Even though there is a rook, the pawn is pinned, so they can't do anything. I was expecting from my opponent, honestly, he's FIDE master, and I was expecting that he will see this tactic and just to move away with his king, but he played bishop b1 and everything falls apart. Knight f3, takes, and that's it. He resigns. So, okay, even if I don't have this tactic, honestly, black is here practically better. No worries what engine says now. Black is just practically better. Look at this control on dark squares. What I really need is maybe to go in some endgame, but also the knight is pinned. There is a threat of this. You have already weakening a lot of your king side. I can maybe include my rook like this and then put some pressure in future. Maybe some b5 typical ideas for this. So all of this will be covered in my chess7 course, which is currently like preparing to get published in this year. So this is very energetic opening, and I'm really, really proud that I can show you this, and like to show you some new version of how you can play the Sicilian if you're currently struggling to find some line and make some different understanding from the currently what you're currently playing. So okay, now we go on the last game, which is very symmetrical to the first game, where we are getting the similar line as you see. So now knight 1 to c3, and after that b5 we know, knight e5, knight g7, c4, something we already see, takes, and knight e4. C takes b5, g6. Okay, we know for this, we already saw this, and now my opponent went for this weird move, bishop d2. Okay, this is all normal. Chess.com is giving his own reviews on these moves, like a mistake or inaccuracy whatsoever. As you see, position is equal. Bishop g7, but why this move is inaccuracy is just wasting time. Like, at least this bishop was much better here to threaten the knight, maybe to take this knight, than to stand here on d2. So after that, my opponent played bishop c3, but this thing doesn't really work here. So if you want to take the knight by the end of the day, it was much faster to go this way, but placing your bishop here not gonna do anything. My knight is stable. So you actually wasted the time. And you see from the evaluation bar how immediately gives black's favor. So I castled, standard. You see, I'm literally pre-moving my developing moves until castle. After I castle, now this already doesn't work, this capture. Like, it was working earlier if you get out with this bishop and go castles, but now it's too much since queen h4. And now we are getting simply the ideas for also something like queen to e4 check, where you cannot really put your bishop here, since I can maybe take you on g2. So you're getting really trapped how to develop, how to continue developing. My opponent went bishop c4, which is very normal developing move. Since if I go for this check, there is king f1, I played bishop g4. So there is no f3 because of this. And suddenly they're getting in big trouble, because when they play queen d2, which is very typical, very natural move, bishop h6. So look how my bishops are powerful. Look how these bishops are just crushing the center control of white. And just compare it for their pieces on the queen side. Like, my pieces are more fluent and they're doing better job than white's pieces. So this is not over. Of course, we need to convert this advantage. Now my opponent went queen d3, and you need to find the move bishop e2, which actually kicks the queen out of the way and creates a lot of threats, because queen doesn't have much squares where to go. Maybe the b1 is the safest option. They went queen g3, and this actually allows me access over the e4 square. So now I have a literal threat of just taking this bishop and make this carry. So white king is really in danger, and there is like no way how to escape here. It's just a matter of time where black will take some material and finish the game. Of course, converting is not easy in some of these positions, because he found some resource. Bishop takes d4, and I now need to be careful. If I take this bishop, this is disaster for black. Now they will just take it back, and I don't have time for rook e8, since they can even castle now, or maybe they can provide some additional support to the bishop. I think castling is maybe the only option for white, and after queen captures here, like, white can find some ideas since he has these pawns, and you see that now black lost all advantage. So we need actually to continue with bishop takes e4 check. In that case, they will put a bishop in front, and now we are playing bishop takes a6. So slow, you don't need to rush here. Like, your bishop is perfect. He's stopping them of castling on this side of the board, and castling on this side of the board will be really risky, and most probably not even possible. So my opponent went for queen f3. When when your king is open, he actually wants to trade some queens, maybe, because queen of black is really danger. But of course not. We are playing queen b4 check, king d1 moves, and now just trade, and then taking on b2. So we are threatening both of them. Knight c2 is a reasonable move. Now bringing the rook to threaten checkmate. Rook c1, here comes rook c3, and there is no really escape here because the other rook is coming to the game, and the black species are just crushing white's king. And after queen to d2, rook to d3, and white resign. So this was the game, 99% of accuracy, and this is maybe one of my best game in Kalashnikov online against 2500 players. So, you know, as you see here how it works, on high level works perfect. If you are on some level below, it will be also perfect, because on your level maybe they're even more confused when they see this type of opening, Kalashnikov opening. Okay, if you like this video, please leave a comment, subscribe, share this video. I would be grateful for that, and I will see you in the next series of 15 minutes just opening videos.